Hello and welcome to another day of my 25 days of Christmas movies discussion. And today we're going to talk about another one of my favorite movies. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It's a pretty good movie if you like movies about Santa Claus. Now there are variants of this movie of the story of how Santa Claus can be. But this one is the one I grew up with. So, basically, Santa Claus was an orphan that was brought to a guy named Burgermeister Monsterburger, who does not want anything to do with children. So, he sends the kid off to the North Pole. But he sends one of his workers to take him to somewhere, get the kid out of there. But on the way, he encounters the Winter Wizard, and obviously he drops the baby and, well, then he's found by, obviously, a bunch of elves. And they all have names. I don't remember all the names. One's like Tingle, and I just don't remember all of them. But they take him in, tell him how to be a good elf, how to laugh like really good. And that's how he gets his ho ho ho, and then they decide to give him a job when he's older. They want him to take the toys to a nearby village. Now, he does. On the way, the Winter Wizard sees him, and he has a plan to get him. Anyway, before he gets there, the Burgermeister slips on a toy and breaks his funny bone. And from that day forward, he's like, those toys go or I do. And I am definitely not going. So he bans all toys with a song called "There'll Be No More Presents to the King." And of course, the elves and all of them are singing about get to the king. So Chris, by the way, that's his name, Kris Kringle. And they gave him that name, by the way, and that's why he's called Kris Kringle. And then we'll get to the whole Santa Claus idea. Anyway, he tells him, he goes up there, and he gives toys to the kids. And the Burgermeister is not happy about it. And even Jessica, one of the teachers, tells him toys aren't good. And then he gives her one, and it's a doll. And so he's like, oh, maybe I can let you have one. Yeah, maybe I can let you. And he decides maybe it is a silly rule. And so the Burgermeister comes up, and he tells Chris he's under arrest. And he decides, but Chris gets away by making him play with the yo-yo, which makes him break his own rule about no toys. And so he goes back up to the mountains, but is stopped by the Winter Wizard, who decides to, destroy him. Now, this is a great story. Unlike a certain Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie, which I'll get to later on. Anyway, he tells him that he will not be ordering any more toys. And Chris decides, before he destroys him, to give him the last present that wasn't destroyed by the Burgermeister. And this melts the Winter Wizard's heart. And he changes for the good. But he's like, oh, it's so hard to change. And he's like, and Chris goes into this whole spiel about, you know, changing's like taking your first step. And then he goes into the song, the one foot in front of the other, which is another good song. And so, you know, they decided that, oh, and he does, and I forgot, he meets up with this penguin. Now, penguins, as you know, are from the South Pole. And he's way away from there. He's in the North Pole, and he calls it Topper. So, anyway, they decide, the Winter Wizard decides, you know what, you're a good guy, and he gives him a snow globe. Not any snow globe, a magic snow globe. And he's like, there's someone waiting for you. And he goes to see him, and he tells her, and she tells him that the Burgermeister destroyed all the toys that the kids got. And Chris decides, you know what? They are going to, he has to figure out a way how to get them. And this is where the stockings idea comes into play. And again, all they see is, you know, stockings hanging on the fireplace. Mr. Burgermeister's like, okay, cool. And then he comes back the next day, and he sees more toys. And he vows that, oh, and then, you know, the whole, there's also a part where he goes down the chimney. That's how he gets the idea of going down the chimney. And then Burgermeister's like, that's it. We're going to get this guy. And he does by tricking him. He holds his penguin captive. But the Winter, and Jessica feels bad about it. She goes to the Winter Wizard. By the way, he's one just called Winter. And he decides, and he just tells him, oh, I have no magic. All I have is some used up stuff. And then he gives them some magic feed corn, which obviously is how the reindeer fly, because he says, oh, it's just ones that make reindeer fly. And that's how Chris Kringle gets his 8 reindeer. And the part I like is this part. They name out, the reindeer, and then one of the kids goes, don't forget, and it's Rudolph, and then everybody's like, no, that's another time. So, and they all fly off, and then, you know, Jessica and Chris Kringle get married, and the head elf decides to tell him, well, it's too dangerous to go under a Kringle name. And they're like, well, what else can he named? And they show him his little tag they had with him that says Claus. And that's how he came up with Santa Claus. And they decided later on, and then later on in the movie, they decide that they're going to do it only once a year. And they decided to do it on the holiest day of the year, which is December 25th. And so, eventually, the Burgermeisters die off, and everybody's like, you know what, this is silly. And they just completely get rid of the rule. But, and even today where it says, there are some people that don't agree Christmas is a good time. And then they end the movie with Santa Claus is coming to town. So, since you watch this movie, oh yeah, it is fantastic. I'm telling you, if you haven't seen Santa Claus coming to town, watch Freeform. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. It's a good movie. It's also on Blu-ray, so if you guys can check it out. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the first iteration of how the Grinch stole Christmas. That'll be tomorrow's video. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I'll see you guys tomorrow with more of the 25 Days of Christmas discussion.